So I'm not a big fan of Hassan. It's a frenemies replacement. It sounds lots of fun. I'm not a big fan of Hassan. There's on Death Noodles. Here's my thing, bro. My first issue is that he's incredibly cocky and condescending, and so I don't think that somebody that's promoting educational content should be that thing. Everybody has their moments. I've had my moments as well. I get it being like a public figure, but he's consistently cocky and condescending. And one of my biggest problems with people is that a lot of times they speak to their audience instead of speaking to everybody. And so, my problem, I'm just looking for the spicy noodles because I asked if he was back and I don't remember where it is. When you're only speaking to your audience, you're not trying to actually promote a positive message to everybody. You're just speaking to your echo chamber. And so I find it to be rather sussy. Here we go. His Death Noodle's back and they linked it to me. So that's a problem that I have. Moving forward with that, I was definitely very heavily... Here's the clip. I was definitely very heavily turned off when the whole thing came out about him aligning with Amazon and buying that house. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, oh no, and it's such a weird gaslight. So here's my biggest problem is Hassan is very actively against Amazon, which makes sense because a lot of the company will shit on its employees and won't let them take pisses. I totally get it. But Twitch is owned by Amazon. And Hassan made the conscious decision so that to align, to make an exclusivity contract with Amazon to make more money. I think that's shitty. If you think that something is so morally reprehensible, why would you align more closely with that thing? That bothers me. I know it's simple, and people are gonna be like, "Well, he needs to make money," and that's the problem. Is his response to criticism was, "Oh, you can't criticize me, fuck you," and oh my god, it's so stupid. I need to make money, right? But this is something that I don't like. It's that a lot of times people, regardless of political ideology, will fucking... Okay. So Assad's making the general point here that people need to work, so they have to support abusive systems because they'll die if they don't. I get that, right? I understand why the guy that's making minimum wage at an Amazon factory is working there and contributing to abuse, because he literally will die if he doesn't work a job. Thing is, Hassan's not that person. He could literally quit and it wouldn't matter, but he doesn't need to quit. He doesn't need to quit. He could have literally just not signed the exclusivity contract. But I'm going to assume he wanted a really expensive house in a really expensive area in California, so he decided to sign the exclusivity contract so that he could support his really lifestyle that he's choosing to live, which is as like high class as possible. So it gets even worse. He could have bought a cheap house somewhere else and just done other things. I don't know, opened up a co-op or something. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I feel like why would... If I had millions of dollars, I personally would probably franchise like a 7-Eleven or maybe a Sheetz. When I went to Pennsylvania, I loved Sheetz. And I would probably franchise it out, and I would figure out some way. I wouldn't pay everybody the same or do a worker co-op, but I've been thinking about this, because if I really did make a lot of money, I would probably open it up, and I would pay people based on some kind of a system, like a percent. I would pay them minimum, or I'd pay them probably a minimum wage for my employees. I live in New York, so it's like $15 an hour already. And I'd pay the manager pretty well, but then I'd also pay an incentive system where I'd pay them like a percentage of the profits based on whatever. So I've been thinking about that, because that would be cool, and that's how I would do it. But he bought a $3 million house. He could have bought a cheaper house. He could have bought 7 cheaper houses. I don't know, probably not 7. Well, maybe 7 cheaper houses. He could have bought a cheaper house. He could have bought a big house. He could have lived in a smaller area. Whatever. The house isn't even really my issue. My biggest issue is the fact that if you think Amazon's so morally reprehensible, why would you align with it as much as possible? That's my thing. Because what you could do, if I hated Amazon, and here's my thing, to be honest with you, I think that we have a horrible, shitty system in general that doesn't have rich people pay the taxes that they're supposed to, especially corporations. And I'll get into my solution to that in a little bit. But I don't think Amazon's morally reprehensible, right? But Hassan does. So why align with them more? What you could do is you could stream on Twitch, and then you could also stream on another platform that you feel is less morally reprehensible. maybe YouTube, maybe some other thing. I don't really know. Right? It's but you could stream on something else. D Live, is that a thing? I don't. You get my point. And you'd maintain the same viewership. The only thing is you couldn't get paid on Twitch if you stream on two platforms at the same time. But you can do it. I've seen streamers do it. You're allowed to do it. You just can't get Prime subs from Twitch if you do that. But you would pull the audience, some of the audience, from Twitch to fucking testicle streaming service, TSS. I don't know. Who fucking cares? And you would be hurting Amazon. You would make less money, but you get the same views. So who gives a shit? And that's my thing. But Hasan could have just stayed with Twitch, but he decided to sign an exclusivity contract. So I find that morally reprehensible. On top of the fact that he's a condescending dick, I don't think he's particularly intelligent, and I really didn't like his take on universal basic income. I thought it was just a kind of a dumb take. So for those of you who don't know, UBI is Andrew Yang's UBI is a basically $1,000 a month to everybody 18 and older unconditionally, right? And so my biggest issue is this isn't an issue, it would replace our current conditional welfare system with a different form of welfare, which would be unconditional. Now, the problem I have with the conditional welfare system is I genuinely feel that welfare, I'm sure it was created with good intentions, but welfare just stagnates people. It keeps them stable, but it doesn't promote growth. Right? So welfare says if you are poor, we'll give you money, which it actually means if you are not poor, we won't give you money. Problem is that there's a lot of people, whether it's laziness or fear, that live in unhealthy local economies, are afraid to make more money and work harder because if they lose their welfare, that could mean the end of their life. So it doesn't promote growth. It doesn't put more money into the economy. So I'd rather tell people, hey, you can choose to keep your welfare, or you can get $1,000 a month. Now, the average welfare payment is $400 a month. So now what we're doing is we're actively advocating for more money to be funneled through the redistribution of wealth into communities, especially poor communities. It empowers middle-class workers and lower-class workers. And a big problem I have is I feel that right now, our current welfare system is being used to pit poor and middle-class people against each other to distract people from the bigger issue of the upper class. I don't think people realize that, but you have to start looking at things through the lens of, I think one of the most oppressive things that the United States government does is they pit the middle and lower class against each other to distract from real fucking issues. And so one of the biggest, probably the biggest way they do that is through our welfare system. Honestly. So that's why I'm for UBI. Now, Hasan doesn't contest that there's more conservative arguments to make about inflation and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that because Hasan doesn't have those issues. I could definitely defend those perspectives, but there's no reason to because Hasan's take is a couple things. One, poor people should get welfare on top of UBI, which I don't think solves a problem. It's just going to make people more comfortable, but it's not going to encourage them to work harder. I don't really see the point of it. We also just simply, I don't think we can afford it. The headline cost for UBI is $3 trillion a year. We can pay for maybe roughly $2.5 trillion of it. So we already are going to have to make up some of that money. A lot of that money, at least $500 billion plus, comes from people coming off of welfare and going on to UBI. Not necessarily reduces the cost, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you'll spend more money giving people universal basic income, obviously, but if you're making $400 a month on your current welfare and then you go to $1,000, you're not contributing $1,000 a month of additional tax burden. You're contributing $600 a month. So you understand where the displacement of costs comes in a little bit. But Hasan just thinks that poor people should just get more stuff. I know people on welfare because my family used to be on welfare. You know, we also I think he has this idealized version of people on welfare that these like really hardworking, incredible people. I'm sure that they used to be that. There are people who are on welfare that are hardworking. I feel like that's the first generation of people on welfare. Then after that, once you grow up on welfare, you get kind of conditioned to be entitled to it. I just feel like, which is normal with everything. So I don't see, what my point is that I don't think everybody acts in good faith, and that same applies to some people on welfare. So my point is, universal basic income, unconditional, advocates to go to work, puts more money into communities, etc., etc. He has a problem with that. He also has a problem with value-added taxes, and I understand it. Value-added tax is basically it's just a flat sales tax. Andrew Yang proposes 10%. Now, problems with that are obviously bigger businesses should pay more, which means we could just have a progressive value-added tax, right? Like, hey, Amazon has to pay 15% VAT tax on it instead of 5% or 5% for small business. That's a simple fix. The thing is, though, with a value-added tax that people don't understand is that one of the biggest complaints that I have, and Hassan has it as well, is that big businesses don't pay enough money, right? What they'll do is they'll funnel money through other countries, and then won't pay like any federal taxes. VAT taxes are very difficult for you to dodge. It's a very big thing. And so if you implement a value-added tax on something, it makes it difficult to dodge, which means that those companies will be paying more of their fair share of taxes. Okay? Now, I understand, again, the flat tax thing, but that's something to consider. Now, people would say, like, yeah, but it's putting the money on to people instead of the business. If you tax a business, it's passed on to the consumer anyway. That tax is just a different framing of money. It's the same fucking thing. So overall, I just don't like his criticism. It's fine that you disagree, but he's just such an arrogant dick about it, and he thinks that it's some kind of conspiracy to get rid of welfare. But UBI is welfare. It's just a different welfare. So that's why I'm not a fan of Hasan. So now we can watch this video. Okay? How do you like that? Do you like that? I think that was pretty good.
Hey! To the leftovers! The wait is over!
That's right.
With me, welcoming to the H3 family and our $3 million set. We spared no expense, Hasan Piker.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm ready to. Okay.
That's about as that's the welcome I expected.
We plugged you too. Go ahead and show us his socials again.
I'm ready to.
See that?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, sorry, I got to move my screen. I don't want to hide his socials. So you go. If you guys want to go follow Hasan Piker.
Hell yeah! I'm ready to. I'm ready to bring the patriotic voice to this.
That's what
this godless channel.
Thank you. Hey, come on.
That's what I'm here for. That's right.
Fuck you.
Real American voices will be heard finally.
What is the leftovers? Listen, I've had enough of you guys complaining that you don't want me to talk about.
I think that he's being sarcastic when he says patriotic voice.
Politics. So I went and made a whole fucking show about it. But the spirit of this show is not serious policy debate. It is bringing righteous justice to these shitbags. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, that's most political YouTube, right? It's not really intelligent. It's just political drama. Some political YouTubers like to criticize drama channels, but they do the same fucking thing, bro. All they do is they just talk about political drama. That's fine. I'm all here for it. What the fuck do I do in my life? I'm just saying.
Clowning on idiots.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I mean, that's what.
Also, when you're in a political framing, you really shouldn't be saying things like clowning on idiots, because politics fundamentally is about getting people together to make a compromise, to make a change. So if you're shitting on people who just represent a different thing, it seems shitty. I mean, I understand that there are some people who deserve it, but you know, I know Nicki Minaj. I'm not watching the whole show, but Nicki Minaj is one of them. It's like, I get it. She's not particularly politically intelligent. Neither is Ethan. But she had some concerns about the vaccine. I understand. She's apprehensive about it because there's no long-term study. I get it, right? They're calling her a moron. She also told people that her cousin's friend's balls got really big and he became infertile, which is obviously not true. But she probably believed it. So it's one of those things where you could do light education on it. Although they might be talking about Tucker Carlson, which means, you know what, I can understand it because Tucker is he's Tucker Carlson.
That's what I do regularly. So when you hit me up, I mean, when we did that original podcast, your podcast,
yeah.
I was like, is this a thing? Like, are we vibing right now?
Right.
And you know, and then after that, we
how come Ethan looks taller than Hasan? Isn't Hasan like 6'4"? What's up with the?
We cover the Gamba stuff, and I was like,
Gamba.
Okay, we're
yeah, that was
vibing.
Hasan does
we're
seem to be
vibing pretty hard.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fan. I always watch your. I don't catch the streams. I think you're psychotic, by the way. You stream like every day.
Every day.
Do you take the weekend off or something,
Nope.
bro? Like you gotta.
I took today off, kind of.
Seems a little. It's a little capitalistic, if you ask me.
Yeah, working hard.
7 days a week.
Working 8 days a week.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's right. I put an.
This is like an uncomfortable conversation I'd have at work with somebody who just came back from vacation. Like I can't even communicate what that means because you'd have to like work with people that you don't usually associate with. So like I'll come back and then the fucking Salvadorian like 50-year-old guy will be like, "Hey, working hard," and I'll be like, "You know it," and then I would do something kind of gay, and then he would say, "Hey, don't do that," and we'd laugh. And what I mean kind of gay is like I would go to kiss him or something. Like I'm not being derogatory. That's just how workplace culture works. So it's hard to communicate.
Extra day in there.
Cranked it up to 11.
That's right. I mean, I'm doing like 8 hours every day minimum, and that's like lower.
All right. I mean, okay, cool. That's cool. I don't know. I mean, listen, maybe I'm just not educated enough on Hassan because I don't watch his stream 64 hours a week. Because he said he streamed 8 days a week. But I'm just not a fan, bro. I don't. It's not a fan. That's just like my opinion, bro. But okay. Their energies don't match. Yeah, that's true. Ethan seems very, very willing to impress Hassan. But that's fine, bro. You do you. I know Ethan's like a soft lefty, you know. That's fine. I like leftist shit too. You know, I just fucking advocated for UBI, so for the first fucking 90% of that video. So fuck me. I don't know. Maybe it's just the attitude Hassan has that turns me off to him. I'm sure people have said the same about me, but I'm trying to be. I try to genuinely listen to feedback, and I just don't think Hassan does.